Emani Gabrielle Moss was born April 23, 2003. She was one of 5 children born to her mother. Shortly after her birth, her mother, addicted to drugs, surrendered her parental rights and Emani's father Iman gained sole custody of her. Iman was charged with and convicted of battery and second-degree child cruelty in 2004 after beating Emani's mother in front of her. Iman's mother Robin and sister Emani Moss helped him care for Emani. Emani was described by her family and teachers as a bright and precious happy child. According to Emani's 4th grade teacher Ms. Neal, Emani was a wonderful friend to every student, even a bully that she tried so hard to be friends with on a daily basis. Iman met Tiffany Moss, who was a preschool teacher, in 2007 at Freedom Christian Church. They dated for several years and later married in July 2009 and had 2 children together. Less than a year after the wedding, in March 2010, the first signs of abuse was reported. 6-year-old Emani told the school nurse that her stepmother had spanked her with a curtain rod. The nurse found multiple scabs, bruises and welts all over Emani's body. Emani was then taken to police headquarters. Tiffany was arrested and charged with first-degree child cruelty. Tiffany admitted to hitting Emani just 3 times for not doing her homework. She pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 5 years of probation as part of Georgia's first offender program. Tiffany lost her job as a preschool teacher due to the arrest, and it is believed Tiffany began to resent Emani and blamed her for her job loss, beginning an escalating cycle of more abuse that ultimately resulted in her death. After this incident in March 2010, Emani was removed from her father and stepmother's home and placed with her grandmother Robin, where she thrived and her school performance improved. Iman fought to regain custody of Emani, and in the fall of 2010 the Georgia Division of Family and Children Services returned Emani back to her father and stepmother. Robin suspected Emani was being abused and fought for custody of little Emani, however Family and Children Services did not grant her custody. Tiffany continued to abuse Emani. Emani even tried to run away from home twice in July 2010. Both times she was returned to her home to endure more abuse. Tiffany was able to tell police that Emani was lying about her claims. The police even filed runaway and curfew violations against Emani so that she would see a juvenile court judge. On Mother's Day 2013, Robin and Emani reported that the family visited them and Emani's hair was cut. When they confronted Tiffany about it, she said, "If you act ugly, you should look ugly." They also noticed Emani acted more timidly. After the 2012 to 2013 school year ended, the couple announced they were pulling Emani from public school to homeschool her. Despite Robin and Emani reporting their suspicions to Family and Children Services, as well as an anonymous tip being received stating Emani was being neglected by her stepmother and father, nothing was done by authorities, and Family and Children Services never visited the home nor conducted a follow-up. Mother's Day 2013 was the last time her grandmother and aunt saw her alive. Iman worked 2 jobs, making him absent from Emani's life. He would leave the apartment for his first job early in the morning and briefly return in the late afternoon, and then leave for his second job before finally returning home at 11 p.m. This allowed Tiffany to be able to not only abuse Emani but begin to starve her. The starvation likely lasted several weeks, according to the prosecutor. Emani was confined to her bedroom, where she eventually became too weak to move. Although she starved Emani, she would regularly feed her 2 biological children. The process of starving to death would have been so painful for little Emani. Emani would have first experienced hunger pains, then became more fatigued while losing energy and weight until she ultimately died. On October 24, 2013, Emani suffered what Iman believed to be a seizure in their bathroom. She was unresponsive. Iman moved Emani to her bed, where she stayed for the next couple of days. According to Iman, he visited her during this time and tried feeding her but was unsuccessful. Emani died on October 28, 2013, weighing only a mere 32 pounds, the weight of an average 3-year-old. According to the medical examiner, Emani was more or less skin and bones, and her organs were found to be very small. Iman testified that on October 28 Tiffany called to tell him Emani was dead. When he came home from work, he stated Tiffany was watching TV and the little children were playing. Emani was lying on a blanket on her bedroom floor dead. When he suggested they call police, Tiffany stated they couldn't because she would lose her children. She said they needed to hide Emani's body. Iman proceeded to wrap his daughter's body in blankets and put her in their computer room where they left her for several days. Emani said he would go to work as normal and come home. The couple decided on Halloween to burn Imani's body in a trash can. After attempting to burn her and realizing the body wouldn't burn to ash, they extinguished the fire and put Imani's burned body still in the trash can in their truck. Iman went to work the next day with Imani's body in the back of his truck. He later confessed to a friend who urged him to go to the police. After contacting the police, both he and Tiffany were arrested and charged. He pleaded guilty to felony murder and received life in prison without parole. He agreed to testify against his wife. Tiffany rejected a plea deal, opting to go to trial and represented herself. She was found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. She is Georgia's only female death row inmate. May little Emani continue to rest peacefully. How can a father who is supposed to protect his daughter allow his wife to inflict pain upon her? Do you think Iman knew what Tiffany was doing to Emani? Why do you think Tiffany hated Emani so much that she resorted to abusing and starving her? Do you think Georgia Division of Family and Child Services should have done more? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Was in the courtroom today. This story is just horrific, and it gets worse and worse if that's possible.
It really does. Neither Tiffany or her husband showed very much emotion today, but the testimony was absolutely devastating. When you hear what this 10-year-old allegedly went through, it's haunting. And you could tell it really affected everyone in the courtroom. I was sitting close to the jury box, and one of the jurors was trying to take notes on his testimony, but her hand was shaking so badly listening to what he was saying, she could barely write. Emani Moss was matter of fact as he described how time and time again he failed his daughter. He knew she was in trouble, he knew she was sick, and even though he testified he wanted to call 911, he never did. His own mother was shaking her head and crying during his testimony, but he was stone-faced, at one point calling his daughter's body that thing. He had no excuse for what he did.
She was in a bad state.
Emani, did you take her to the doctor then?
I did not take her to the doctor, sir.
Why not?
I really can't explain it. I was trying to fix something. Like I said, you know, I'm not God, but I'm trying to fix something irreversible or beyond repair.
Tell me about Emani. You got those pictures of her smile there? And
I have Imani's picture. I have Imani's picture on the mantle, and I have an urn on the mantle. So just to walk by there every day to see her smile is a beautiful thing.
when the court case was going on, you were telling me sort of once all the witnesses were done, and it was in the hands of the jury, you went and you saw her there at your mantle. What were you saying to her?
I said, Emani, we're almost done. We're almost there. We got another set to go through, and then we'll be home free, and you can rest in peace. Just wanted her to rest, and, you know, she deserved to rest after 5 years, just to rest.
And that, those images of the pictures you have on the mantle, I'm sure they're probably maybe the same pictures we had. It's that beautiful smile that
yes.
she has. Is that the image you're keeping in your mind is when you're at work or you're going about your day? If you think of Emani, just that smile and that young girl, and
Yeah.
what do you think of it?
When I'm out there, I think about her smile. Sometimes I think about when she had my camera and she was videoing me while I was driving and acting silly. I think about those things. I think about her in the strawberry patch. She loves strawberries. And the silly stuff she do, because I think we have one with her and strawberry in her mouth and she's like, so she loves strawberries. So everything, I think about how she talked to my daughter. I think about how she called my son and how she talks to me. I think about all those things. You know, I'm Grammy.
Yeah. Always will be.
And my daughter, which is her aunt, she would be her sister auntie. That's what she named her. And her daddy was her daddy brother. That's what she used to call them. So that's Emani.
What, as this was all going on and everything's getting close to the court case that just happened, and I understand last year I read a copy that you filed a lawsuit against DFAX, and you were describing sort of, you were claiming in there that they knew about this, that you reached out, you tried to warn people, you said everything, you did everything you could legally as a grandma.
Yeah.
And sort of what's your reaction when you see how it played out and you're sitting there and you're like, I did what I could?
I feel bad because it's like no matter how much I fought, it was just like no one there to help me. No one. No matter how many times I went down there, and I took my sisters, I took a lot of people down there to fight.
When you say down there, you mean to DFACS?
Down to DFACS to fight them because they wanted me to give her back, and I didn't want to give her back after the 6 months. And then they put her back in that home, and I knew that when they put her back in that home, that was it.
When you say that was it, was that sort of when you had that temporary custody of her for that little window and you brought her back, and was that the last time or one of the last times then that you saw her?
Yeah, because when I got her, she was bruised up very, very badly. You know, in her chest, like fingernail marks in her chest, bruises all over her whole body. And I would sit there and rub her down and try to heal her up and get her emotions back up because she was afraid of everything. She got to the point where if she dropped the glass, she'd start running and screaming and going in a corner. I'm like, it's just a glass, baby. Grandma, I'm going to sweep it up and clean it up, but put your shoes on in case I didn't get everything up, you know. But that's just a glass. I can go back to Walmart or wherever I got and get another glass. That's not important.
She didn't want anyone touching her. She thought there was a punishment for everything.
She thought it was a punishment for everything, but she knew it wasn't done with me. I wasn't like that. But from being in that house, she came timid. She wasn't herself. She was afraid.